White Tiger, no, not the female White Tiger. I'm talking about the OG you may have forgot about, Hector. See, he's a Spanish guy, and he's one of the many white tigers. See, Hector was a guy that came across this amulet that changed his life forever. See, it all went down like this. There was these 3 martial arts hotshots who called themselves the Son of the Tiger. This group split up. They dumped their jade amulets that they wore. That's how Hector found these. The difference between Hector and these other 3 guys is that Hector wore all 3 at the same time. And that's what transformed him into the White Tiger. He became like a kung fu literal powerhouse. Like, it gives him martial arts skills. There's like a gazillion scans of him using his martial arts ability. You see him boxing with Prowler. So yeah, he actually is an insane martial artist. Look at the chokeholds. The comics even say the most daring martial arts hero of them all. There's like a gazillion examples. Even him using different weapons. Narrated, he responds with all his considerable martial arts prowess in a whirlwind offensive of martial arts fury. Yeah. And it summoned an outfit for him. He became dubbed as the world's first Hispanic superhero. See, the thing about these amulets, they're kind of mystical to some degree. You can look at them like on some divine empowerment type stuff. The White Tiger amulets grant Hector increased physical strength, speed, coordination, agility, and even healing. There's even evidence like this to suggest these amulets do heal him because Hector even says it in this particular comic. This section right here gives you more lore on where these amulets came from. Like, let's just say it this way. These are 2 different beings because different beings throughout the years wear these tiger amulets, but I think all the stuff that they do should apply to him too, because it's the same thing just passed down. But to make stuff very simple, people powered up by this amulet, this should also apply for Hector, get their powers from a tiger deity. So that's why they're even powered up in the first place. The tiger deity got his essence in the amulet and then it transfers to them. That's why they're powered up, I guess. Yeah. When he first got this power, it was like a little crisis going on. This was during the very early days though. There was a time where he would put him on, he would do stuff, he would be like in a dream-like state, then he would wake up and then all the stuff he's already done is already done. And then if he tried to take him off, because he realized what he's done was kind of not good, he would start getting sick. So it's like, it's not a good idea to take him off either. But then after a while, this apparent weakness kind of got overcame to where he can obtain his normal personality, but still be the White Tiger. He's kind of got more control of his actions. This kind of stuff was brought up here until how he learned how to retain of Hector while in White Tiger form. So in a weird way, you can say he's going through the same classic evolution like a lot of characters. He's gotten better as time goes by. Yo, just imagine coming across a super amulet like this just randomly one day, and now you're a superpower. Ain't that crazy? Even though it did make his life miserable, it's kind of cool. Let's analyze how strong he is. Unfortunately, he's one of those characters that lacks screen time, but he can jump real high. Like, look at the gate he just jumps over. Notice normal people he can easily lift up above his head and sling with laughable ease. When it comes to the limitations of his strength in this state, let's just say they call him a martial arts powerhouse, and even he's dubbed as a Puerto Rican Captain America, so bare minimally, you could say strength-wise, he should be in super soldier tier-esque type ranges. If we're taking that seriously about him being a super soldier at the very least, bare minimally off gate, he should automatically be able to lift over 2 tons. They say White Tiger tiers are in the same tier or threat level as Power Man. No, they're not talking about Luke Cage. They're talking about this guy, Power Man. Somebody that is a superhuman being that's in the class 25, guys. And White Tiger tiers are in this same threat level, apparently. You see why I'm saying there's implications he can lift more based on this lore with her and White Tiger lore and the newer stuff, which should apply to him. This is how the female White Tiger does class 20 level beings like Power Man. Like, put this in consideration. But if that's not enough lore for you, well, if we look at the other White Tigers, which are powered by the same stuff, they call her a class 10. Wouldn't you agree that that could make Hector a class 10? At least be able to lift bare minimally 10 tons, even more. I know he lacks screen time and showings, so it's kind of hard to believe that he can lift 10 tons based on the lack of showings. But when other White Tigers that are powered up by the same amulet are stated to be class 10, what does that say about him? It's even talked about in newer comics on how Hector, his legacy is being lived through them. To prove Hector's might, even in newer stuff, the newer White Tigers talk about the stuff that she couldn't do, she believes Hector could, implying they are in that same level of battle power or just raw strength. This girl has more faith in Hector than herself, even though she got his power amulet, and she's considered class 10. You see what I mean? I mean, he's the man, the myth, the legend, the first White Tiger. So I guess it kind of makes sense. Let's look at this a little deeper, shall we? You know how they call characters class 10, 10-tonner, class whatever, even though we see characters lift more? Wait a minute, hold on, wait a minute. Doesn't this concept sound familiar? They call Spider-Man a class 10, even though this is an oversimplification and we've seen him lift trains, buses, tanks that weigh 60 plus tons, but he's a class 10 tonner, but he can lift 60 tons. That doesn't even make sense. And if we see him support the weight of a piece of a building, that would have to be thousands of tons. You see why these class systems shouldn't be taken as their absolute limit? So when they say a White Tiger tier character can lift 10 tons, or they're class 10, they say, just like Spider-Man can lift more than this, wouldn't you agree just because they say a White Tiger tier is class 10? I don't believe that should mean their max is 10 tons. You could make an argument for Hector being one of those characters that can lift over 10 tons. I'm talking about, I wouldn't blame you if you wanted to make an argument that Hector can lift 60 plus tons too, because these class systems don't really give you a full understanding. They have a history of not giving you a full understanding of these guys' true might. They literally put White Tiger in the same tier of beings that are class 25, like Power Man. Not the Luke Cage one though. All this evidence that I've already said in the video points at the fact he can punch hard, obviously, right? Marvel themselves agree. This is not White Tiger in this scan, but Marvel themselves has stated in past comics before that when they give a character the ability to press 10 tons, they are basically saying this applies for their strength, how hard they can hit you in the face. So they don't just give these characters lifting strength if they can't use it in combat. Their lifting strength helps their punches. You know, I mean, you can tell he can hit or punch hard based on the opponents. Like, I'm talking about the large amounts he has to fight. Sure, this is probably partly because of skills, but yo, to be able to handle this many people, you got to be able to hit abnormally hard, way more than normal, to basically solo mobs and mobs of folks. Whether it's punches, kicks, he's consistently sending people flying the way they actually launch in the air. Look what he does at his chair with a chop, punches this guy through some crates. The weight of his kicks kink a lamppost. And even if you're one of those people that try to throw a piece of brick at him like the Prowler did in this particular situation, he can punch through it. So there's clear indication he can punch through brick walls. Personally, I would even say it's much worse if he can literally chop through Spider-Man's web. Spider-Man says, my weapons held everyone from Doc Ock to Rhino, and he just cut through it. Like, even Spider-Man was shocked at this. And if we take stuff like this serious of White Tiger level beings being comparable to beings like Power Man who are class 20, similar to how Spider-Man is a class 10, they say, but he can lift 60 plus tons, hundreds of tons and stuff, and can probably punch with that level of force. I would say this kind of stuff should apply for White Tiger. There's a possibility that he can punch with over 60 tons of force if we to take those class things serious about White Tiger tiers and stuff. I mean, one of the newer White Tigers that's a class 10 believes there's certain stuff Hector can do that she can't. So that says a lot about what his power should be. I mean, he did hit through Spider-Man's web and hit him so hard to where Spider-Man flew through this gate. Not to mention he's durable just like what he can dish out. He's got hit by Spider-Man into a brick wall and it cracked. I mean, after all, when it comes to the opponents, White Tiger has boxed it out with Hector. We've seen him box it out with Batroc the Leaper, somebody that we've literally seen kick in vault doors with his kicking power. Knocked out Hawkeye, does significant damage to super soldier tiers like Captain America. This is the same guy that kicked down a freaking vault door. Batroc is. There's this garbage creature, King Bajra, we've seen Hector pull up to. And even though this being's powers is kind of hexy, his fumes are messing up his powers, all his animal instincts are thrown off, can't concentrate, despite all of this, and the fact he's getting hit by a being that can lift up vehicles like cars, he's being punched by these beings with this kind of strength. Despite all this trickery, Hector doesn't care, and he still pushes through and kicks this being down, defeated. Do you remember how earlier I said there's an argument that he could be Spider-Man tier when it comes to raw punching power and such like that due to the class systems they're comparing him to and such, and I said I was going to get back to it later? Well, I'm back to it now. Well, this argument gets kind of proven further when we see White Tiger Hector along with other characters like Daredevil and Spider-Man. We see Dr. Octopus, a Spider-Man tier threat. We see Hector just straight up box it out with Dr. Octopus and make him go night-night. And even Spider-Man says, well done. And to make it even worse, not just Spider-Man threats we've seen White Tiger face, we've seen White Tiger take on Spider-Man himself in a extremely long, drawn-out type of fight. Like, I'm talking about these two was boxing blow for blow, panel for panel, to the point where it's almost like, dang, he's got to be somewhere in his ballpark. Like, I know Spider-Man's holding back, but he's doing stuff that's impressing Spider-Man, like I brought up earlier, about how Spider-Man has used his webs on all the villains you can think of, Doc Ock, Rhino, and etc., and he just chopped through it. He's doing stuff that's impressing Spider-Man himself. Like, I can't even count how many times he's getting punched in the face by Spider-Man and he's not going to sleep. That's why I say if somebody wanted to make an argument of him being above the super soldier tier, I couldn't really blame him. This is a pretty long, extensive kind of fight But at the end, they got cool and stuff. But yo, that was a long type of fight. That's why I say there's a good chance he could be Spider-Man or symbiote tier. But if you're not convinced of this, he's bare minimally Captain America level at least, right? You know how tanks can weigh 60 tons. Just keep in mind that super soldier tiers like Captain America can do stuff like this, like literally striking hard enough to bust the tank in half. I guess if you looked at it like if Hector had Captain America's shield and he got the opportunity to throw his shield through a tank, he would have the strength to do this as well. You could argue based on that kind of stuff or the stuff I've shown you in this video, right? Look, I know you're probably tired of me bringing up the female White Tiger, but you can almost look at it like the stuff she can cut. You can almost look at it like Hector can cut too, because there's implications that Hector can do his own version of claws too. And you remember what the female White Tiger's done. She cut through the skin of Luke Cage. Even Luke Cage was shot. She actually cut me. You can look at it like Hector should have the same cutting power as her. Same power source after all. Swords crack on this guy's skin. Same with pretty much any type of gun, even if it's snipers. This kind of implies more implications of White Tiger being above super soldier tiers because Luke Cage is not even flinching from super soldier tiers like Deadpool, y'all. Daredevil level beings hurt their hands punching Luke Cage. But there's implications White Tiger tiers can, including Hector. This is why I say there's implications Hector or White Tiger tiers or White Tiger level beings are above the super soldier tier. If I just had to make a punching power grid, you know, to really show his power level where he should be, he's bare minimally super soldier tier, but I can see people making an argument for him being above super soldier tier, but just slightly being below Spider-Man or even being right there with Spider-Man and punching power. What do you guys think? Based on all this evidence, especially with those claws, it implied he can damage beings like Luke Cage, or not necessarily him in particular, but there's implications of people that have the same power source as him. The Tiger Amulet beings can cut Luke Cage. There's even arguments to be made that he might even be above, based on just the White Tiger lore. I mean, strength does help your punching power, but I guess a part of the argument you can make is that part of the reason why he can hit so hard is his fighting speed too. He has good showings of his reflexes and fighting speed. I mean, there's more than one occasion of him having to evade literal bullets or even blitz a beam before they get a chance to shoot. Plenty of people that have weapons in their hands shooting at him and they can't land a hit. I mean, look at this. Like, they just can't hit him. Then they get blitzed. Like, I don't know how much more they can write it to make it clear. Look at this, dodging, literally running towards them, and they still can't hit him, with bullets aiming right at him. There's even occasions where they say he moves like lightning. It might sound like a pun. I would have thought it was a pun too, when Spider-Man even agrees about him moving like lightning. It's like a common theme. You hear them say he attacks within the blink of an eye. I'm pretty sure they're being serious. Like, you can't tell me all these people just have horrible aim. He's just dodging all this. There was this beam that was coming at him. He had to evade. He's one of the few people that can compete with Spider-Man's fighting speed. And in this same series, we literally seen Spider-Man fight this being known as Light Master, somebody that can blast with actual light beams at him, and Spider-Man has to dodge this stuff. So when you see him competing with Spider-Man in combat speed, just know he's vastly above superhuman. Spider-Man is constantly complimenting his speed. Spider-Man even said during his Slugfest with him, said, even though he's wearing white, it's hard to follow him in the dark. He has to rely on his spider sense. Do you know how fast you gotta be for Spider-Man to say he has to rely on his spider sense to evade him? Spider sense is literally a form of precognition, and Spider-Man literally says, despite his spider strength and agility, the Tiger's almost as fast as he is. Spider-Man is a character that's used to fighting beings, that is used to having the speed of light on their side, yet Spider-Man can still avoid these kind of attacks or beings consistently. White Tiger's combat speed has to be like dang near close to it. Even if it's not necessarily all the way on it, he's like way faster than Hypersonic to even be near Spider-Man in fighting speed. I've already showed in this same video of him having a full-blown battle, panel for panel fight with Spider-Man. Spider-Man saying somebody almost as fast as him is insanity. Not to mention the feats kind of back it up. It's not him just stating it. We literally see it happen. They literally go for it, panel for panel. So his fighting speed being up there with him makes a lot of sense. I would personally say more consistently, they would have to be in the Spider-Man-ish ranges. I mean, look at the power grids when it comes to the strength being this high up in the hierarchy, 4 out of 7. And then when you look at hers, she's a class 10, and they say her strength is a 4 out of 7. You see what I mean? Like, a lot of the stuff just makes more sense for him to be more in the Spider-Man ranges. I'm talking about easily being able to punch with over hundreds of tons of force, or even arguments to suggest he can punch with over thousands of tons of force. Yeah, it's more consistent in this range, I would say. Or claw, cut with this kind of force. You know, White Tiger level beings are cutting beings that super soldier tiers have trouble punching. When you're powered up by an amulet that's being imbued with the power of the Tiger God, I guess that makes sense on why he's so strong. The Tiger God is one of the beings that humanity feared, and the Tiger God is so mighty, we've seen him actually box it out with Shuma-Gorath, a cosmic being. So one thing to say is respect White Tiger. Like, comment, share, subscribe, turn on notifications, and thanks for the donations, y'all. Respect Hector. I'm glad you are enjoying your time on the channel. Make sure you check out the playlist on the channel to see other How Strong videos. If you like what this channel is offering, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys later.